It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Sabrina Zavahir. First, the headlines. A parliamentary debate on the Easter Sunday report. COVID victims to be buried in Irunathivu. Cabinet approval to develop West Terminal of the Colombo Harbour with the support of India Sri Lanka. The government's trade restrictions will not be affected for GSP+. And in world news, UN says tens of thousands of detainees still missing in Syria. Now the local news in detail. Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehele Rambukwella said a decision has been taken to bury the bodies of COVID-19 victims in Irunathivu. He mentioned this during a press conference held today to announce the cabinet decisions. According to Minister Rambukwella, a plot of land in Irunathivu in Kilinochchi district has been identified for this purpose. 250,000 COVID-19 vaccines are to be received to the country free of charge. Another 1 million vaccines that ordered by the government will be received this month. A two-day debate has been given regarding the Easter Sunday Commission report in Parliament. The minister stated that the criticism and allegations can be discussed in this regard. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to develop the West Container Terminal of the Colombo Harbour under the John Keells Company and the Adani Company in India. The proposal submitted by the Ports and Shipping to develop the West Container Terminal to build, operate and transfer bases for a 35-year period as a public-private partnership with Adani's India's Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited and the Sri Lanka's Ports Authority has been approved by the Cabinet. The Generalised Scheme of Preferences Plus says that Sri Lankan exporters' terms currently enjoyed will not have an impact by the trade restrictions imposed by the government. The agreement's eligibility period is also likely to be extended given the fall in gross national income following the COVID-19 pandemic. Head of Cooperation European Delegation to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Frank Hess, said there is no link whatsoever between GSP Plus and import restrictions. Sri Lanka receives the GSP Plus as unilateral trade concessions because Sri Lanka has committed to itself to implement a number of UN conventions on environmental issues, social issues and governance. As long as Sri Lanka does that, Sri Lanka does qualify for that program. GSP Plus is limited to countries that are categorized as under low income. Therefore, for a country to qualify, they must have a GNI below $4,000. Sri Lanka in the recent past crossed this threshold and no longer qualified. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news. Minister Dallas Alaperuma says basic rights of the people of receiving electricity and drinking water facilities will be fulfilled under the Saubhagya Dakma program of the President. He made this remark participating in a foundation-laying ceremony of the fourth stage of water supply project in Matara. He also stated that drinking water supply facilities will be given to the people in several divisional secretariats in Matara by the year 2025. The government's plan is to provide water facilities to 85% of the population in the country. Governor of the Central Bank, Professor W.D. Lakshman, says that Sri Lanka is marching forward for the digitalization of bank network. This program will be implemented according to the international standards with the support of other banks. This system will help to expedite the transaction with the customers and for the safety for finance. The launch, which marked official beginning of the retail-level campaign, aims to draw as many customers to use digital payment methods such as mobile applications, the Lanka QR code and credit and debit cards. He made these remarks at a program held in Galle recently. This program has been organized by the Hatton National Bank in order to promote the Lanka QR national program island-wide. With that, we conclude the local news. The main news story follows.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana says laws had already been drafted to fine 25,000 rupees from drivers who violated railway level crossing signal. Such an accident occurred at the Vanavasala railway crossing yesterday. The driver of the bus is to be produced before the court today. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight, Additional District Secretary Sanya Abesekara says that conducting of land kacheri in the Anuradhapura district before the 31st of this month. These kacheris are being conducted to issue an allowance paper for the lands they lived. This program will be initiated under the circular issued in 2018 by the Commissioner General of Lands. That came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news follows.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
The headlines of the world news. UN says tens of thousands of detainees still missing in Syria. COVID vaccines cut risk of serious illness by 80% in over 80s. US seeks Security Council meeting on Myanmar. Now the world news in detail. UN investigators say tens of thousands of civilians are still missing under being detained arbitrarily during 10 years of civil war in Syria. Thousands more have been tortured or killed in custody, according to a new report detailing alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity by all parties. Victims and witnesses described unimaginable suffering, including the rape of girls and boys as young as 11. The issue is a national trauma that must be addressed, the report says. Syria has been devastated by a conflict that erupted after President Bashar al-Assad's government responded with deadly force to peaceful anti-government protests in March 2011. A single shot of either the Oxford AstraZeneca or the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID jab reduces the chance of needing hospital treatment by more than 80%, an analysis in England shows. The Public Health England data showed the effect kicked in 3 to 4 weeks after vaccination. It was based on people aged over 80 who were the first to receive the jab. Government scientists hailed the result but stressed that 2 doses were needed for the best protection. The United States is seeking intense UN Security Council discussions on the situation in Myanmar as the crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations grows more violent. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Linda Thomas-Greenfield said the Security Council was pleased and expressed in a unanimous press statement its concerns about the situation in Burma, so he hopes to use their time on as President of the Council to push for more intense discussions on that issue. With that, we conclude the world news, and prior to concluding, the headlines of the world news once again. UN says tens of thousands of detainees still missing in Syria. COVID vaccines cut risk of serious illness by 80% in over 80s. US seeks Security Council meeting on Myanmar. With that, we conclude the world news. The development news follows.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by
CIB offers valuable prize for New Year from 1st of 15th of March. Our choice in our own place. CIB.
National Housing Development Authority Chairman Renuka Pereira inaugurated the Siapata Housing Office at the authority's headquarters in Colombo yesterday. He said that recipients would have to pay 30% of the total sum for such a project, while the rest would be funded by state banks under the Sunduru Kadalla Housing Loan Scheme. He said the interest rate is 6.2%. That came to you in Development News. Next up is the Sports News.
Development News was brought to you by
CIB offers valuable prize for New Year from 1st of 15th of March. Our choice in our own place. CIB.
In sports news, a playground to the village national program has commenced. Minister Namal Rajapaksa said that under this program, 332 rural playgrounds are to be developed. This program will be implemented to create well-talented youths. 1.5 million rupees has been allocated for the development of each playground. 500 million rupees has also been allocated to renovate all playgrounds. That was sports news. Next up is the business news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka is ready to enhance trade relations and bilateral economic with China. Sri Lankan ambassador to Beijing, Dr. Palitha Kohana, met the secretary to the Chinese International Board of Commerce, Wang Yango, to discuss this regard. They agreed to hold the next meeting of the Chinese International Board of Commerce in Sri Lanka. Mr. Wang also stated he will make more investments in Sri Lanka. That ends Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic News. Courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
A committee will be appointed to coordinate the development of rubber-related industries and local rubber cultivation. There is a high demand for rubber-related products globally, such as rubber gloves, which is used for health safety. That ends Economic News.
Hello, Buddha. Did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. The Met Department says thunder showers in the evening or night is expected at a few places in Gaul, Matara and Ratnapura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in central, Sabragamua, Uva and western provinces during the morning. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. A parliamentary debate on the Easter Sunday report. COVID victims to be buried in Ironathevu. Cabinet approval to develop West Terminal of the Colombo Harbour with the support of India, Sri Lanka. The government's trade restriction will not be affected for GSP+. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend and certainly yours as well. Niranjan is all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music indeed. Over to you, Niranjan.